Hello guys, Judgement here. So in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about the different builds that you can go as a Paladin if you want to play Retribution at level 60. So we got the standard AP ret, the traditional one that's been around since vanilla, right? The normal AP build. And then we have the hybrid build, which is like a hybrid between AP ret and spell power ret. And then we have the full Paladin build, the Paladin or the spell ret, or what you would like to call it. So since I've been level 60, I have mostly been playing full spell power ret and the hybrid version. I have not played a lot of AP ret because the spell power version was the one that I thought beforehand had the most potential, so I wanted to go all out on that one to see how good it actually was. And as you saw by my last MC performance last week, it did work out pretty well. So the clip you see here is from our most recent MC run we did a couple of days ago, and my performance was decent. I mean, I did make a lot of mistakes in the earlier fights and I got quite bad results, so not as good as last week, but I did have a few good fights. And the clip I'm showing here is from Golemag, which where I had my best performance. And so if you're looking at the meter right now, I don't actually show up at all, but I will get there in the later phase, like in the end here. I will start to pop up. There I go. So the biggest difference is that most of the other people in the raid has got a lot better gear and stuff like that, and yeah, so the competition is much more fierce than last week. You can also see that there is a lot of mages in this raid. Like I think we got 11 mages, and it's really hard to beat mages, right? But I got a good spot on this boss fight, and yeah, this is my best performance so far. I hit like the 370 DPS, which is really good. So yeah, I will continue trying to improve for next MC week again, trying to hit 400 on this boss. I think I can make it. Getting a little bit better gear and using stuff a little bit more the right way should be possible. And of course better on the other fights as well, because I had some really horrible fights where I screwed up with the MCPs and stuff like that, and I died on Ragnar's again really early. But yeah, no loot this time though this week, but that's fine. Can't get lucky every week. So yeah, for the rest of this video I'm going to go over all the different builds and itemization and rotations and a little bit of everything like that. I will also show some testing on spell ranks, how much damage they do and which ranks you should be using. So let's take a look at the hybrid set we have here. So this is my current hybrid setup that I'm running. And I've said that the goal of the hybrid is to have at least 150 spell power, and then you should try to get hit cap, 6% if you're a human, 3% on gear and 3% on talents, and then you should try to get as much crit as possible. So I managed to get up to 15% here. It is possible that you could swap the chest for another chest, like Tombstone Breastplate or Savage Gladiator Chain. That will give you an additional 2%, but then you need to make up for the spell power loss somewhere else. And it is quite hard to get up to 150 if you're not like full Pre-bis like I am. So because you kinda need Devil's Ore, or well, you don't need Devil's Ore, but I mean it's too easy hit. So if you don't run Devil's Ore, you're gonna have to run something like Bloodmail Boots or Blackstone Ring, or yeah, maybe even True Strike Shoulders, right? But I think Devil Sword is really nice because it gives you crit as well, and some nice AP. So yeah, if it's possible I would like to bump up the crit, but I'm not exactly sure what I would replace to reach 150 if I did. But just take the pieces you have, try to get 150, to try to get like 15% crit if you can, and hit cap of course. Hit cap is much more important in the hybrid spec than it is in the full Paladin set, because more of your damage is gonna come from auto attacks, and you're also gonna use like a slow two-hander on trash and stuff like that, and then you need hit cap because you don't want to miss with this. Missing with the with a faster weapon like a brain hacker or something like that is not you won't lose the same amount of damage if you miss 1 or 2 attacks with this compared to this, right? So yeah, we have Crimson Felt Hat, we have Mark of Ordering, Earth Slag, Shoulders, Cape of the Black Baron, Plate of the Shaman King, Battleborn Arm Bracers, Devil Sword Gauntlets, Barrage Girdle, Devil Sword Leggings, Omnicast Boots, Cyclopean Band, Songstone of Ironforge, Hand of Justice, and a Briarwood Reed. So this is basically what I would say a pre-bis in slot for a hybrid, right? This is pretty much the best you can get for a hybrid. So I'm kind of happy with that. You could, if you want, like have a Maiden Circle or something like that to get a little bit more spell power, but I mean, yeah, probably might be worth it, right? But I think this band, the Cyclopean band, is just fine, right? But yeah, so there are a lot of different combinations you can go with, right? If you have trouble getting some pieces. So as I said, the main goal is 150 spell power and close to 15% crit or more if you can get it, as well as the hit cap. So that's the itemization for hybrid. So we're talking a little bit of how to play the hybrid next. So the hybrid is basically a combination of the Paladin and the IP Ret, right? So you can actually go with either a slow two-hander like I'm doing here, or a fast one two-hander like this one. So if you're going with the slow one, you're gonna use Seal of Command, and if you're going with the fast one, you're gonna use Seal of Righteousness. But this is only for trash, of course, and so for bosses you're gonna use the Crowd Pummeler, because the Crowd Pummeler is always going to be the best damage output for bosses if you have spell power. If you're playing in like full AP Ret, then you're not gonna use the Crowd Pummeler, of course. But if you're playing any kind of hybrid or Paladin, then the Crowd Pummeler is the #1 choice for max output. Yeah, so basically what you do is like I did the last round in MC, that you use the Seal of Command with this weapon, for example, or Demon Shear or whatever slow two-hander you can get, and yeah, you just command stuff and use Consecration depending on your mana, and then on bosses you swap to the Crowd Pummeler and use that in your standard rotation with Seal of Righteousness, of course. And of course, if you don't have a slow two-hander, or if you're going a little bit more heavy on the spell power side, you should use a fast two-hander instead with Seal of Righteousness. So you have Brain Hacker or Blade of Hannah is the primary weapons you should be looking out for. There is also some merit in going for the Flurry Axe, which is a one-hander, which procs the extra attack, right? I haven't been able to get that one myself because it's very expensive on my server, but I heard that it procs quite a lot, so yeah, you can do that, but I don't think that the Flurry Axe is going to be super good in the hybrid, so it's more like a full Paladin weapon in my opinion. because the two-handing, the spell power scales much better with Seal of Righteousness on a two-handed weapon than it does on a one-handed weapon. So because you got less spell power than a full Paladin, you want to use the two-handed to get all the bonuses you can get, right? But when you get more spell power, you can go with the one-handed, and it will still be good. So that is the general consensus. Alright, and then we take a look at the full Paladin build. So here I got as much spell power as I can on my gear. So I will replace some of the hybrid pieces for more spell power pieces. So in this set I got Crimson Felt Hat, Mark of Ordering. Still got this because there is no next with spell power in phase 1. So this gives at least crit, which is good, and a little bit of attack power. There is some next that gives you a lot of intellect, which you could consider using instead if you want. Like there's a couple of necks with like 14 intellect or something like that. And of course a bigger mana pool will help a lot. So you could choose that if you want, but I think the crit is more important. And then we have Lead Surveyor's Mantle. There is a couple of other shoulders, like Burial Shawl from Scholomance, for example. The mini boss is there, and I think there is a couple of others as well. But this is like a good amount of intellect and 15 spell power, so this is pretty good. Drops in BRD from Phineas Darkwire. Then we have the Sprite Caster Cape, which is the best spell power cape. Also drops in BRD. We're sticking with the Plate of the Shaman King. There is like a couple of other chests which gives more spell power, but this also gives like strength, right? And so I would say that this is the best one. We have the Battleborn Armor Bracers again, because yeah, there's no bracers with spell power either. So this gives both hit and crit, really nice, so we're sticking with those. As I said, there is also bracers with intellect if you want to just stack intellect instead. And then I would recommend Feral Heart Bracers, which gives 15 intellect and 7 strength. So you can choose those if you want to have either something that is easier to get, because you can probably just buy those on auction house for like a couple of gold. Shouldn't be like any high prices or anything like that, because nobody really uses them. So yeah, we can use Feral Heart there instead if you want. Then we have Dracorian Gauntlets from Stratton Dead. And so there is better gloves called Hands of Power from LBRS. But I haven't been able to get those, so these are like the second best. Gives some intellect and spell power, quite good. So this is the second best gloves. And then we have the Barrage Girdle from Strat Living. Best spell power belt. Skyshroud Leggings from LBRS as well. The best spell power leggings. Omnicast Boots from BRD. Best spell power boots. And then we have the Cyclopean Band and Songstone of Ironforge. And the trinkers are also the same, Hand of Justice and Briarwood Reed. So yeah, in this itemization I get 228 spell power. If I would have like a Flurry Axe, I could also equip the Spirit of Aquamentus in my offhand. Unfortunately I don't have it in my bags right now, it's in my bank. But that gives an additional 20 spell power, right? So I could have 248 with a one-handed if I wanted. But since I don't have any really good one-handed, and basically Flurry Axe and Iron Foe are basically the only good one-handeds there is. So I don't have any of those, so I'm sticking with the two-handed Brain Hacker instead. So for the full Paladin you use Seal of Righteousness with the Brain Hacker or the Flurry Axe, or what do you have? And you judge on cooldown, and you use Consecration, rank depending on your mana. We'll go over that later in this video. So yeah, and then for bosses, of course, you swap to the Crowd Pummeler and use the charges for the boss fights. So yeah, I haven't been able to decide for certain which of the builds are the best right now for either the hybrid or this full Paladin. I think the hybrid edges out a little bit because a lot of your damage is still like pure white damage from auto attacks, and you will get more crit and more AP in that set. And of course, more crit is more vengeance uptime, which will also give you more damage. But yeah, you're only losing like 3% crit, a little bit more than 3% by going for the full Paladin, so it's not that bad. You're still above 10%, and you do attack very fast with the crowd pummeler, so you will keep a decent uptime on the vengeance. But I looked at the logs from last MC raid on Golemag, and I think I only had like a 40 or 45% uptime on vengeance, which is pretty low. And like fully buffed in the raid should have like 20% crit, I think, maybe a little bit more even. No, maybe it's like 20%. So I'm a little bit sad that it was only 40%, because ideally you want like 60-70% uptime on vengeance if you can, because having it up like less than half the time, that's gonna be a big DPS loss, I think. Yeah. And yes, of course, for the Paladin set here, as you can see, I'm not hit capped. I'm missing 2% hit, but that's fine. Less of your damage is gonna go from auto attacks, so missing a little bit of your a few here attacks here and there is not gonna break this spec, break this build completely. So yeah, that's fine, because if you were going to try to get hit cap, I mean, what would you put? Would you like you would have to replace like this with a true strike or something. So yeah, I don't think that would be beneficial. But I mean, if you do have true strike, you could try to get hit cap as well, because you can definitely not go with the Devil Sword set, right? Because then you would lose way too much spell power. So basically the only thing you could do is have like a true strike and the Battleborn. So that's maybe that could work like in a full Paladin set, but I wouldn't recommend it. And then lastly, we can also take a little bit of a look at AP ret. So this is my AP ret gear at the moment. I have Eye of Rand, Mork of Ordering, Earthslag shoulders. I'm a little bit sad because I don't have any other shoulders for AP actually, because there isn't really a lot of shoulders to get. So you can get True Strike, you can get Black Dragon Scale, but otherwise, there isn't really any shoulders to get. I mean, there's like a green quest item shoulders with 12 agility, 12 strength, which is pretty good, but I think I actually vendored those, because I know I did the quest, but I don't have them anymore. So yeah, really bad shoulders for AP ret at the moment. Then we have Cape of the Black Baron, Tombstone Breastplate, haven't been able to get the Savage Glad chain yet. Vambraces of the Sadist, Devil's Roar Gauntlets, Omok's Girth Restrainer, Devil's Roar Leggings, Blood Mail Boots, Cyclopean Band, and some random green ring. Yeah, as you can see, I don't really have any good rings either. Ideally, I would like to have like Magnus Will and Painweaver Band, but I chose the Spell Power ring instead, so I can't get Magnus Will. And Painweaver Band hasn't been dropping for me. And then Hand of Justice and Black Hand Spread. Obsidian Edge Blade, of course, as my best two-handed weapon. So as you can see in this set, I have hit cap and I also have 22% crit. And if you would replace these rings with Bis rings, I would get 24%. And then yeah, I could enchant the boots, I could enchant the bracers, I could enchant the chest, I could enchant the cloak. So that would give me probably another 1% crit almost from agility. So I would end up at like 25% crit 800 AP hit cap. So that is pretty good actually for an AP ret. So yeah, if you want to go AP ret, and I know that there are some of you who doesn't really like the whole spell power thing and still interested in just playing normal AP ret, and something like this is what you should aim for. I really think you should go with the Devil's Sword set. It's really nice. It gives you those 2% hit, so you don't have to itemize your other gear a lot for hit, because yeah, the Blood Meal boots just fits in very well as well. Gives you a little bit of intellect there and the hit rating. But yeah, if you get True Strike shoulders, I mean, you can put on the True Strike right and skip Devil's Oar, and you can have True Strike and Blood Mail, or True Strike and Battleborn or something like that, if you want instead, because there are good alternatives to these, right? You could get Gargoyle Slashers, I think they're called, from Scholomance as your gloves, and for legs you can get something like there might not be any super good legs, unless you get like the BOE epic ones or something like that, Cloudkeeper, but those are probably very rare and very expensive right now. And yeah, so the rotation as usual for AP ret, if you want to raid as that, is that you use Seal of Command. You have max rank and rank 1 on your bars. And for consecration you have max rank and rank 1 or rank 3 or some downranked rank. We will go over the downranking with the consecration and stuff like that later in the next part. And you keep Seal of Command up and you judge on cooldown. And when you get a Vengeance proc, you will use max rank consecration if you can afford it, or downranked version if you can't afford max rank. But you should only consecrate during Vengeance. So you would, because your Vengeance lasts for 8 seconds and consecration also lasts for 8 seconds. So ideally you would like to time them, right? So as soon as you get the Vengeance, you pop consecration to get max value out of it. The biggest problems with AP ret is the mana, right? So you are going to go very fast if you use consecration too much, like outside of the Vengeance uptime, right? And even if you do use it only for Vengeance, you may still go out of mana quite quickly. So make sure you have mana pots and runes and stuff like that. So AP ret, the one thing that makes AP ret a little bit better than it's been before is seal twisting. So seal twisting is basically a technique that you use in order to speed up your attack swings, and this will give you more attacks, and which will result in more Seal of Command procs and more damage. So it's quite easy to do. All you need is a swing timer add-on, like the one I have here. As you can see, the blue bar, and this is called Attack Bar Classic, I'm pretty sure. I can look it up quick here. Let's see what it's called. Weapon Swing Timer is actually called, sorry. So this is called Weapon Swing Timer. I'm not sure if this is the best one that it is, because it does have some problem, especially when you like parry attacks and stuff like that. Or yeah, so sometimes it just go haywire and you'll have to wait until like 1 or 2 attacks until it starts resets and becomes good again. But there is a couple of other add-ons as well you can use. So basically how seal twisting works is that you use Seal of the Crusader to speed up your attacks, and then just as soon as your character is about to attack, when the swing timer is to 0, you switch to Seal of Command and you will attack, and you can proc the Seal of Command. So instead of have to wait the full 3.4 seconds like a normal Seal of Command would do, you will speed it up by 40% by using Seal of the Crusader instead. This will of course cost a little bit more mana, because you're gonna constantly switch between these two seals every attack, but you will of course use rank 1 of both of them, so that will reduce the mana cost a lot. And yeah, that is pretty much it. I'm going to show you a little bit here on Kill a Few Mobs. So you start off with command, right? Because your first swing is always going to be instant, because your swing timer is always ready when you're in a passive mode. And then as soon as you attack, we're gonna swap to Crusader, and when the swing timer goes to 0, we're gonna swap back to command, wait for the character to attack, and as soon as the global cooldown is up, we're gonna swap back to Crusader, and we're gonna keep doing that over and over again. And yes, as you could see, I killed that mob pretty quickly. So I got a few command procs. I also got the Hammer of Justice proc, which resetted my swing timer like in the middle of it, which made it a little bit harder to time it, but the timer was fairly accurate, so it was really no problem. So yeah, we're gonna do one more mob just to see how it works again. Yeah, so it works pretty good, as you can see. And of course you need to use your judgment and your consecration in this rotation as well, if you're doing this on boss fights and trash and stuff like that. But if you're doing dungeons and stuff like that, you can just seal twist without using them if you just want to like conserve mana and stuff like that. But because yeah, as you know, the mana problem is like one of the biggest problems for Paladin, so if you will go really fast if you use consecration all the time. So just seal twisting back and forth is like it's just fine to do that if you're just doing dungeons and stuff like that, unless there's like big AoE stuff, then you want to use consecration as well. But yeah, it's gonna be really hard to use both judgment and consecration because they take the global cooldown, right? So you're going to have to skip the seal twisting for one attack when you do the consecration and the judgment. So basically what you do is that you do like 2 attacks seal twist, and then you do judgment cons, and then you do 2-3 attacks with seal twisting, and then you do judgment cons. Yeah, so as you can see there, I whenever consecration gets off cooldown, I use judge and consecration, and I don't seal twist that one attack, and then I continue to seal twist on the next attack again. So yeah, that is pretty much how seal twisting works in Classic, and if you're playing AP Red, you should definitely do this. It will increase your DPS by quite a lot, especially if you're doing it for like longer fights on like raid bosses and stuff like that. So yeah, this is like I think this is the thing that could make AP Red viable, like compared to the other red specs, I'm gonna say. Not viable like compared to other classes, because that's gonna be hard, right? But compared to other, like the spell power versions, right? The seal twisting stuff could be the thing that makes AP Red good compared to the other ones. Because without the seal twisting stuff, you're gonna fall a lot behind other spell power paladins, I think. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Yeah, so now we're going to try some damage with different ranks of Seal of Righteousness. So the gear I have on right now is my hybrid set, but I have a one-handed and an offhand, because I wanted to show you the one-handed scalings first. So if you're using like a flurry axe or something like that. So yeah, first off, I have already like tested it a little bit, and it's rank 3 and rank 8 that is the main ranks that you will be using. So rank 3 for downranking and rank 8 for max damage. And the reason for this is because rank 3 scales with spell power a lot better than the other ranks. I don't know why this is, it's just how it is. So rank 3, for example, will do more damage than rank 4, 5, 6, 7, basically up to rank 8. So I will show you here as a demonstration the rank 3 and rank 4, the difference. So we start with rank 3. So rank 3 does 43 damage in this set, 44. And now I switch to rank 4 instead. And as you can see, it went down to 34 instead. So it actually went down even though I upped the rank. So it doesn't make any sense, but that's just how it is. And then we swap to rank 8 instead. And as you can see now, it hits for 54. So it's a little bit of an upgrade. So yes, you should use rank 3 if you want to be mana conservative. The problem is though, of course, that the judgment damage has the same scaling on all the ranks, so that's going to increase with the rank. Yeah, so rank 8, you should always use rank 8 for max damage, because the judgment damage will be a lot higher. As you can see here, I'm judging rank 3 now for 160. And now I'm going to judge rank 8 for 333. So that's a big difference. That's more than double, right? So you should always use rank 8 if you can afford it, but you can downrank to rank 3 if you want to be mana conservative. Now let's swap to two-hander and see the difference, because there is quite a big difference between one-hander and two-hander. So let's test for two-handed weapons, and you will see that there is quite a big difference. I mean, the difference is not as high with the two-handed weapon as it is with the one-handed weapon, because the scalings on two-handed weapons are different. So if I use rank 3 first, you will see that it hits for 55. And if I swap to rank 8, it will do 86. Or while I remove engines, yeah, 86. So it's a much bigger difference with two-handed weapons. So if you're using two-handed weapons, you should try to always use max rank. Of course, if you are really mana starved or stuff like that, you can downrank down to rank 3. But you should try to stick to rank 8 if you want to keep up the damage. And now we will also try some consecration damage. So we have rank 1, we have rank 3, and we have rank 5, which I think are the correct ranks that you should be using, depending on your mana situation. And as always, if you can afford it, you should always try to use max rank while you have the vengeance buff up. But it can be really hard because it costs, as you can see, 565 mana, which is a lot. So yeah, I usually downrank to rank 3 most of the time, but I throw in 1 or 2 rank 5s every now and then. So let's just see what the damage looks like with the hybrid gear, which we have 158 spell power on. So starting with rank 1. So rank 1, as you can see, takes for 16 damage every hit. Rank 3 hits for 34. So that's just above double. So you get double the damage, but it costs almost 3 times the mana, right? So 3 times the mana for double the damage, so it's not linear. And then we go to max rank, which hits for 60. That's actually quite a lot of damage, but yeah, it costs also so much more mana. And of course, let's get a vengeance. Let's get a vengeance proc here. We can see how much it does. Nice crits. There we go. So now it ticks for 69. So 9 times 8, that's 72 additional damage. So yeah, that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. And I know that I might not have been super detailed about everything. So if there is anything you think that I missed, feel free to drop a comment down below and I will try to answer it as soon the best as I can. I will also post links to the Pre-bis lists that I think are good. But as always, you should always take Pre-bis lists with a grain of salt, because they I will not add like the super rare stuff. So it's not like real pure bis, but you know, it's what you should be aiming to get. I think for the different builds, and I will also like type the priorities, so to speak, that you should aim for with each build, because I think the priorities are more important than the gear, right? So you know that yeah, I need hit cap, and then I need 150 spell power, and then I need 15% crit, like for the hybrid build, for example. That should be the goal. So it doesn't actually matter what your pieces are, right? As long as you meet up with the goals. But you need pretty much the best pieces in order to reach that goal. So yeah, I will give some examples what kind of items you should be looking for. And also you can hit me up on Twitch. I will be streaming every now and then. I'm not streaming every day because I'm making videos, and some days I'm just farming herbs or doing other stuff that's not really worthwhile stream content, I think. So I'm trying to stream when I'm doing raids, and maybe I'm doing a lot of dungeons some days or stuff like that, PvP. But yeah, you can hit me up on Twitch. I will post the link to my Twitch in the description below as well. And follow me on Twitter as well if you want. I will post when I go live on Twitch. And you know, just general stuff about Classic and Paladins. So yeah, until then, see you later.